What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I wanted to show you something. Something is happening in Japan with the high-end Mega Dream EX cards. And let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? So I'll be showing and talking mostly in Japanese yen, but I will be putting the dollar amount somewhere on the screen to help everyone understand what we're talking about here. So let's start with the Mega Dragonite Special Art Rare. That's the card that I wanted to start off with first. And this is actually the one where I found this thing happening. And it's currently listed at 34,000 Japanese yen. You'll see here, these were like the last couple buys that happened. There was one 46 minutes ago for 31,000. There was one for 32,000. And if I click on mint grade A, you'll see that there's been a huge change. All the way back here, probably 2 weeks ago, it was around 25,000 yen. And it's been that way for the most part of, the last couple months. If you go all the way back to February, it was 24,000. Back in January, it was a bit lower. It has really taken off. The last couple of days, so today's the 31st for me. On the 25th, it was down at 25K. It is now all the way up to 34,000 on Tuesday the 31st. And it's even more prevalent, I would say, with the PSA 10s. If we look at the PSA 10 chart, it's been bouncing around, the 50 to 60,000 range for the most part of this month, but it's skyrocketed to 84,000 Japanese yen. It's a similar story, but a more dramatic increase. That's a 61% increase. I believe the raw, ungraded cards, grade A cards as they call them in Japan, was about a 44% increase. So as always with PSA, everything is inflated, including this. And then I wanted to show you what it looks like in the USA. 90 US dollars for a raw copy, or about 560 for a PSA 10. So they're significantly cheaper for raw copies. For the PSA 10s, they're about the same as what Japan is showing. So it's just something to watch. Sometimes the American and Western markets take a little bit longer to react to price changes that happen in Japan. I'm definitely not saying go out and buy this card. It's just something that I've noticed the last couple of days, this huge skyrocketing effect. And I should have looked into this pre-recording, but in post-recording, it kind of dawned on me I should have checked TCG Player. And I typically don't use TCG Player for Japanese pricing just because the volume is not there. It's very good for English, but for a Japanese volume, it's really not there. This card only has 6 listings on TCG Player. But even still, looking at TCG Player, it's kind of following the same trajectory, although not at the pace perhaps the Japanese market is seeing it at. It is a lot higher at $190 and has risen to $206, is around 6% increase. So it is increasing, not so much and not at such a fast pace on TCG Player, but also at a much higher price point. It's kind of strange that there's such a discrepancy between TCG Player, eBay, and Japan right now. The pricing is kind of like all over the place. So yeah, just an interesting point. And I really like this recent trading history. You can see it's like pretty solid on the 85,000 yen. It's pretty much been that way, all day. The last couple hours, all last 4 or 5 trades have all been 84, 85, and have been increasing kind of throughout the day too. There's a couple 86,000 yen as well. So yeah, just a really high volume of cards being bought and sold here. But this is not the only one. I wanted to then, once I kind of like found this happening with this card, this specific Dragonite, I thought, well, it's probably happening with this one too, right? The biggest chase card in the high class pack of Mega Dream EX. And yeah, it is exactly what's happening. So we'll look at ungraded grade A mint copy. Earlier this month was around mid to low 30,000s, bumped up to 40K, went back down to the mid 30s. Let's call it about 35,000. But then you'll see kind of the same, almost the exact same day. We'll say the 25th of March. It just pumped from 39K to 43K to 50K. And we're now sitting at like a 52 to 54K range, which is insane. Going from, you're basically inflating at 20,000 Japanese yen. And of course, let's take a look at the PSA 10. The chart is even more staggering. And it's probably because the population is a little bit lower. Obviously, there's a lot more grade A mint cards around than PSA 10s. So there isn't so much fluctuation within the market. But let's go all the way back to beginning of March, as always. 80,000 Japanese yen. A lot of money, but it's flown again around the 25th. It started to pump, and then it really ripped kind of on the 28th to the 29th. And we're looking at 172,000 Japanese yen. That's 1,090 US dollars. You'll see 2 hours ago, the last PSA 10 that was sold was 173K, so even higher than what the graph is currently showing. 172K was 4 hours ago, so it seems to be just going up and up and up in price. PSA 9s, I don't know what the population is like. Yeah, I didn't even check this beforehand, but yeah, 30,000. It was almost like bang on 30 to 35K for pretty much 3 or 4 weeks. And has ripped to 59K. It's almost doubled in price. So just a really interesting thing that's happening. And I noticed it mostly with these two Dragonite cards. And I couldn't really tell you a rhyme or a reason for it. But usually when something happens in the Japanese market, the US and the West, the UK and the rest of Europe, they're ready to follow kind of like right behind it. I'm definitely not chasing this pump whatsoever. I am always a big advocate for if you get in early, that's perfect. But if you're trying to chase a card that has a pump like this, more likely than not, it's going to come back down a little bit rather than continuing to pump. But this is definitely the kind of like a card and an area that I'm going to watch for the next couple days. And yeah, I myself have not been able to get my hands on any of this set. It's just been ultra expensive to ship from Japan. And the single cards, as I just said, have been kind of like going up and up in price this month. 15,000 Japanese yen for a box is quite high. Yeah, I mean 15,000 Japanese yen is like nearly 100 USD. So it's about double what it really should be. So it's just kind of like been increasing, and like you'll see like the last 3 months trend, you'll see that there's, these peaks and valleys here. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But the discrepancy between the peaks and the valleys is getting higher. It's kind of like was around here, and now it's like all the way up here. So, some people are paying, I don't know how, $118,000 for a sealed Mega EX pack or a box. So yeah, just unaffordable at the moment, even in Japan. But yes, this is a set with a high chase rate of some really good cards, but just something to keep an eye on. Yeah, thank you for watching.